Qualcomm's shares shed $8 Monday to close at $54.88 on the Nasdaq. Apple's lawsuit landed 3 days after the U.S. Federal Trade Commission took legal action on similar allegations, prominently mentioning Apple in its claims. In addition, South Korea's antitrust regulator last month fined Qualcomm $865 million for anti-competitive patent licensing. Qualcomm calls the allegations baseless and has vowed to fight in court. It says Apple wrongly undervalues Qualcomm's Core 3G/4G cellular patent portfolio, which has been licensed by device makers in more than 250 agreements over the past 2 decades. Nomura, Instinet research analyst Romit Shah downgraded the stock from buy to market perform in part because the lawsuit, regulator actions are stronger and broader than anticipated. In a research note, Shah noted that Qualcomm has a history of favorably resolving legal issues, citing previous settlements with Nokia, Broadcom and regulators in Europe, Japan, and Korea. But he raised the specter that the licensing investigations could delay Qualcomm's pending acquisition of automotive, Internet of Things chipmaker NXP Semiconductors, a deal valued at $47 billion including the assumption of debt. To complete the acquisition, Qualcomm needs approval in the US, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan and the European Union, all of which have outstanding investigations of Qualcomm underway. We believe it is logical to assume that the regulatory agencies in the US, Europe and Asia might take longer to approve the NXP deal that, among other things, will strengthen the company's position in wireless, said Shah. In its lawsuit, Apple alleges Qualcomm is withholding $1 billion in patent royalty rebates in retaliation for the Cupertino firm complaining to antitrust regulators about Qualcomm's patent royalties. While the rebate spat got most of the headlines, Bernstein research analyst Stacy Rasgon called it a sideshow. The much bigger issue is that many of Apple's claims appear to be a direct assault on the basic structure of Qualcomm's licensing business model, Rasgon wrote in a research note. For Apple, the possibility exists for material reduction in royalty rates if Qualcomm's royalty structure is undermined going forward. Smartphone makers, including Apple, are facing slowing demand and falling prices for their devices, which has led them to aggressively wring out production costs to maintain profit margins. The legal spat doesn't bode well for Qualcomm supplying cellular baseband chips for future versions of iPhones, said Rasgon. Qualcomm's cellular modems have been used to connect several generations of iPhones to cellular networks, including all iPhone 5, iPhone 6 and iPhone SE models. Last year, Apple began using Intel to supply cellular modems for iPhone 7 models that run on AT&T and T-Mobile's networks. It currently uses Qualcomm for iPhone 7s on Verizon and Sprint. Rasgon said Qualcomm's comments on the state of the NXP deal and the long-term outlook for patent licensing will be closely scrutinized when Qualcomm reports fiscal first quarter earnings on Wednesday.